How do
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Welcome to this morning's Srimad Bhagavatam class. It's from Canto 2, which is entitled The Cosmic Manifestation, Chapter 2, which is entitled The Lord in the Heart. And today we're doing text 32. No, I'll just start with the Jairad Madhava, and then we'll go on to the text. Okay, sorry about that. Jayaratha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayaratha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavallabha Girivadadhari Gopi Janavallabha Girivadadhari Yashodanandana Rajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Rajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavallabha Girivadadhari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivadadhari Yashodanandana Rajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Rajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavallabha Girivadadhari Gopi Janavallabha Girivadadhari Yashodanandana Rajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Rajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jayam Vishnupad Paramhansa Privajikacharya. Stotra Satsisi Maharaj Divine Grace. A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnupad Paramhansa Privajikacharya. Stotra Satsisi Maharaj Divine Grace. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवाचार्य गौर भक्तवृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय। वृंदावन धाम की जय। मथुरा धाम की जय। नवद्वीप धाम की जय। जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय। जगन्नाथ स्वामी की जय। गंगा माई की जय। जमुना माई की जय। तुलसी देवी की जय। भक्ति देवी की जय। हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र की जय। समवेत भक्त वृंद की जय। निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the lotus feet of Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga Krishna. Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Krishnaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Tirtha Swami Nityananda. Namaste, Krishna Prabhupada Siddhartha Gaura Karma Shakti Bhakti Tirtha. Narayana Namaste Chanarun Chevam Narottamam Devi Saraswati Vyasam Tatujayam Udirayat Nashta Praiswa Badresu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatu Tamasloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. So as I said earlier, today is the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, which is a cosmic manifestation, Chapter 2, which is entitled The Lord in the Heart, and text 32. Ete Srishti Nere Pavedagite Swayabhi Prishte Cha Sanatane Cha Yavaipura Brahmana Ahatushtam Aradhito Bhagavan Vasudeva Ite Shriti Te Nripaveda Gite Tvayapi Prishte Cha Sanatane Cha Yavaipura Brahmana Ahatushtam Aradhito Bhagavan Vasudeva Ite Shriti Te Nripaveda Gite Tvayapi Prishte Cha Sanatani Cha Yevai Pura Brahmana Ahatushta Aradhito Bhagavan Vasudeva Ite Srishti Te Nripaveda Gite Tvayapi Prishte Cha Sanatani Cha Yevai Pura Brahmana Ahatushta Aradhito Bhagavan Vasudeva. Hare Krishna. So anyone who would like to chant can unmute now.
Ete Shriti Te Nripaveda Gite Vaya Viprishte Cha Sanatena Cha Evai Pura Brahmana Ahatushta Aradhito Bhagavan Vasudeva. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
एते श्रुति ते नृपवेत गीते त्वयाभिपृष्टे च सनातने च एवै पुरा ब्रह्मण आहतुष्ट आराधितो भगवान् वासुदेवः. हरे कृष्ण.
Hare Krishna. Anyone else like to say? Okay.
एते सृष्टिते नृपवेदगिते त्वयाभिप्सते च सनातने च इवै पुरा ब्रह्मण आहतुष्ट आराधितो भगवान् वासुदेवः.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. Anyone else? We'll do word for word now. Ete, all that is described. Shriti, way. Te, unto you. Nepa, O Maharaj Pariksit. Veda Gita, according to the version of the Vedas. Tvaya, by your majesty. Abhiprishte, being properly inquired. Cha, also. Sanatane, in the matter of eternal truth. Cha, verily. Ye, which. Ve, certainly. Para, before. Brahmane, unto Lord Brahma. Aha, said. Tushta, being satisfied. Aradita, being worshipped. Bhagavan, the personality of Godhead. Vasudeva, Lord Krishna. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Your Majesty Maharaj Pariksit, know that all that I have described in reply to your proper inquiry is just according to the version of the Vedas, and it is eternal truth. This was described personally by Lord Krishna unto Brahma, with whom the Lord was satisfied upon being properly worshipped. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The two different ways of reaching the spiritual sky and thereby getting emancipation from all material bondage, namely either the direct process of reaching the kingdom of God or the gradual process through the other higher planets of the universe, are set forth exactly according to the version of the Vedas. The Vedic versions in this connection are Yada Sarve Pramuchante Kama Yesya Hridi Shritaha Atha Matyo Brito Bhavantyatra Brahma Samashnute. This is the Brihad Aranyaka Upanishad 4.4.7. And Te Richi Abhisam Bhavanti, Brihad Aranyaka Upanishad 6.2.15. Those who are free from all material desires, which are diseases of the heart, are able to conquer death and enter the kingdom of God through the Archie planets. These Vedic versions corroborate the version of Srimad Bhagavatam, and the latter is further confirmed by Shukadeva Goswami, who affirms that the truth is disclosed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, Vasudeva, to Brahma, the first authority on the Vedas. The systemic succession holds that the Vedas were uttered by Lord Krishna to Brahma, by Brahma to Narad, and by Narad to Vyasadeva, and then by Vyasadeva to Shukadeva Goswami, and so on. So there's no difference between the versions of the authorities. The truth is eternal, and as such, there cannot be any new opinion about the truth. That is the way of knowing the knowledge contained in the Vedas. It is not a thing to be understood by one's erudite scholarship or by the fashionable interpretations of mundane scholars. There is nothing to be added and nothing to be subtracted, because the truth is the truth. One has to accept, after all, some authority. The modern scientists are also authorities for the common man and for some scientific truths. The common man follows the version of the scientist. This means that the common man follows the authority. The Vedic knowledge is also received in that way. The common man cannot argue about what is beyond the sky or beyond the universe. He must accept the versions of the Vedas as they are understood by the authorized disciplic succession. In the Bhagavad Gita also, the same process of understanding the Gita is stated in the 4th chapter. If one does not follow the authoritative version of the acharyas, he will vainly search after the truth mentioned in the Vedas. Oma Gnati Virandasya Gyana Gana Shalakaya Chakshu Amritam Jena Tasma Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashnaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namini Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshatayana Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shivashari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare. The English translation. Your Majesty Maharaj Pariksit, know that all that I have described in reply to your proper inquiry is just according to the version of the Vedas, and it is eternal truth. This was described personally by Lord Krishna unto Brahma, with whom the Lord was satisfied upon being properly worshipped. Hare Krishna. So, there is so much to pick from this. Every single line has advice in it for all of us. So if we look at it closely, this is Sukadeva Goswami speaking and addressing Maharaj Pariksit. Your Majesty, Maharaj Pariksit. We started Your Majesty, Maharaj Pariksit. So again, right from the beginning, Sukadeva Goswami was showing respect to Maharaj Pariksit. It is important that devotees remember that respect is very much a part of our devotional life. And sometimes we get into a situation where we're unhappy with something, and then because of that, the person we are unhappy with, the respect for that person just goes out the window. You have to understand, if you do that, you're already an aparadi, because aparad is making someone uncomfortable. We should not make anyone uncomfortable. So to come back to this, Your Majesty, Maharaj Pariksit. So Shukadeva Goswami was replying to questions asked by Maharaj Pariksit. And he's saying that it's according to the Vedas. And it's eternal truth. So that's another point this Shukadeva Goswami is making. The Vedas, the eternal truth. If it is contaminated in any way, the Lord will come. Vishnu will come, set up some sort of pastime, and the Vedas will be set straight. Whatever it is that some contamination it is that's been put in the Vedas in any kind of way, Krishna wants to maintain the eternal truth of the Vedas. So never allows Vedas to go in a contaminated way for any long period of time. The Vedas was described personally by Lord Krishna to Brahma. Another important point. Lord Krishna described the Vedas to Brahma because the Lord was satisfied by how Brahma worshipped him. Another important point for us. We have to be determined to serve devotees, to serve Guru, and serve Krishna in such a way that they will be satisfied. And for Guru, we get to relate to him directly. So if we do very good work, sometimes the Guru takes time to actually praise the disciple or the devotee for what they do. And that should be the best day of the devotee's life, when the Guru actually gives the devotee some acknowledgement of what is going on. The Guru puts up with so much of our anathas. You have to understand that in the anathas, They're coming out because the initiating guru is responsible for the disciple in terms of taking the disciple back to the spiritual world. That is a contract between the guru and the spiritual world. Some of the fallout from the anatas, the things that are unwanted in spiritual life, that the disciple gets themselves into, some of the fallout comes upon the guru also. And so if we really love our guru and we want to respect them, then we have to be on top of what our spiritual life's instructions are so that he doesn't have to suffer. And around this particular society, the International Society of Krishna Consciousness, there are some gurus that are suffering badly. And if they really want to open their mouth and tell you what's going on, they're going to tell you it's because of the anatas of the disciples. Nagu Maharaj, Bhattacharya Maharaj is very, very direct. And the times when he was actually suffering, I remember in a lecture in Detroit, he came right out and told him, says, what I'm going through is because of what you guys are doing, not according to what you should be doing, not according to the spiritual rule of law. So that affects the guru. So being determined to serve guru and serve the disciples and all devotees for that matter properly, when the Lord gets satisfied with us, many things come positive in our lives. Many things come. So in this case, Lord Brahma served the Lord very nicely. Performed wonderful tapasya to the Lord by the Lord's instructions. Garbhodakshaya Vishnu asked him tapa, which he did. And so much then was gained. It is still true today that anyone who serves from their heart and is not offensive, both of them have to go together, and it's not offensive, that person is piling on spiritual credits, and some of it, the result of that will actually be noticed by the devotee in his or her life, literally. In the purport, Prabhupada says, and this is what Shukadeva Goswami was describing, the ways of reaching the spiritual sky. One, he says, there are two ways. The first that he describes is process, the direct process. And by the way, we have been given the opportunity to go back to the spiritual world by the direct process. And that is the mercy of Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda. The overwhelming majority of us would never see anywhere near the spiritual world after we leave our body, were it not for the mercy of Lord Gauranga and Lord Nityananda, whom we owe a lot to. Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda came by their own sweet will, and by their own sweet will infused the Hare Krishna Mahamantra with love of Godhead, that if we just connect with it with great attention, then the love of Godhead will begin to awaken in our hearts. It's already there. The soul has loving propensity towards the Lord. But because we're living a material life and covered with so many things that are unwanted, many of us don't feel the strong love that's there. But we only have to serve from the bottom of our hearts. And all of that will change. Change for the better, that is. So we have a direct way of reaching the spiritual sky through the Hare Krishna mantra and through other services. And by the way, the home service does not replace temple service. Anyone who thinks that I have set my house in such a way, and that's good, to set up in such a way that I can remember the Lord, that I can worship the Lord, that's okay. As we say in American language, is all well and good, but the real deal is service in the temple. Nobody's home is an embassy of Vaikuntha, but the temples are embassies of Vaikuntha. That is the difference. One practicing Krishna consciousness at home is always helpful to the person's consciousness. But you cannot have proper sadhusanga at home only. Family members, yes, some people don't even have all family members being devotees. Hmm? And in some homes, it's worse. Those who are family members who are non-devotees are criticizing the devotees about what they do. And some devotees have to put up with that kind of situation. Hmm? But nobody criticizes you when you come to serve in the temple. So the temple is the real deal. We have to come. We have to go to the temple and get the association of devotees, sadhu sangha, and that will help us in our direct process, which has been given by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, to go back to Godhead. Just chanting the Lord's name, remembering the Lord, serving the Lord at the time of death. The more we think about the Lord by chanting his holy name, the greater the chance of us remembering the Lord. The more we relate well to devotees, the greater the chance of them coming to our deathbed, stopping whatever they're doing and coming to our deathbed to chant, so that that one sense in our bodies, that is the last to go, that is the sense of hearing. It still works. Even when we're sleeping, the sense of hearing is still there. That's why you can call somebody's name when they're sleeping and wake them up. You can't just look at them and wake them up. But if you call their name, sometimes once or a few times, they're most likely to hear it. The sense of hearing is still there. But when the senses are shutting down at the time of death, it is very confusing, not to mention the pain that's involved in it. Would we remember Krishna? When we have good relationships with devotees, they will come around. Devotees are merciful. They are like desire trees. So they will come. Some of them will come. A good many of them, even if they can't make it, will send you well wishes. And some will come and serve at that time to make sure you remember Krishna by them chanting when you can't speak. The person at deathbed is not going to be able to speak. The sense of speaking is going to be gone. After a while, sense of hearing is going, the sight is going to be gone. The senses just shut down like that. So that's the direct way. And then the other ways of going back to the kingdom of God is a gradual process of going through the higher planets. There's purification. It's mentioned by, you can go through Brahmaloka later on through process of purification. There are other planets before that. And it's said in this Srimad Bhagavatam, the same canto, that through the Milky Way, this is one of the passageways to the Brahmaloka. And there's more purification. And from there, one can meet the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari. It's all described in the earlier texts in the Srimad Bhagavatam, the same canto. But for us, we don't need the practicing of the Ashtanga Yoga, lifting the life air from the lower part of the body all the way up to the top of the head. Not only are we not required to go through that, but actually the fact is we can't even do it. We're not equipped to do it. We don't know how. And in this yuga where the mind is so, it's so splayed out all over the place, to even be able to just sit at attention in the lotus posture and concentrate. When we're chanting, our minds are going all different places. So what's the concentration, where the concentrating effectiveness going to be? It won't be that great. So again, this is why we owe Lord Chaitanya a debt of gratitude forever. He's not requiring us to do any of that. Chant the holy name, serve the temple, serve the devotees, serve the deity, serve the spiritual master, all of that do from the bottom of the heart. And the devotees will help for us to remember the Lord and to go back. A good many times, if not all of the time in the day, we should be connecting with the holy name. Sometimes work may stop us from doing that, but it does not mean that we cannot play the mantra in the background. If we have a situation of our work that it's possible to do it, we should definitely do it. Because Srila Rupa Goswami says, always think of the Lord. And Krishna himself says in Bhagavad Gita 1865, think of me always. Man mana bhava mad bhaktu mad yajimam namaskuru. 4 things. Always think of me, become my devotee, offer obeisances to me, and worship me. And if you do that, you will come to me. He says, I promise you, without a doubt, you come to me if you do these 4 things. Srila Prabhupada has stressed it so many times. And after that, he also, the next one says, Sarvadhanamam parityaja mamikam sharanam praja. The process of surrender. Only Krishna matters. Nothing else, no one else. We worship Krishna through Bhakti Yoga, so connecting with him that way. Then we get that direct process, not the gradual process. The gradual process is there. Bhagavatam describes everything. It doesn't leave any stone unturned. But what applies to us, and Prabhupada in his purport always points that out, the devotees' activities, knowledge of other ways in which things are done, that may be good. It even talks about the impersonalists, trying to merge with the Supreme Personality of Godhead's effulgence. That's also there. It does not mean that we should do that. So Srila Prabhupada makes it clear to us that we are going through Bhakti Yoga, loving devotion and service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's what's important to us. So Srila Prabhupada explains that the Vedic versions are consistent with the version of Srimad Bhagavatam, the way Shukadeva Goswami related it to Maharaj Pariksit. And Shukadeva Goswami says that it is eternal truth. Material knowledge is relative truth. It changes and changes and changes as the material world itself is temporary. So relative material knowledge is relative knowledge, whereas Vedic knowledge is permanent and eternal. So the truth about the Vedas was disclosed by Lord Sri Krishna to Brahma, and Brahma shared it with his son Narad. And Narada came to Vyasadeva as a guru to Vyasadeva and shared with him. Vyasadeva dictated the Vedas. And that way, the Vedas came to be. As a matter of fact, there's more that he divided into 4 versions: Rig, Atharva, Yajur, Sama, all of that. So there was some arrangement of the Vedas done by Vyasadeva, and then his commentary. So that is the truth, and it always remains the truth. It's the version of the authorities. Nobody, no mundane scholar can interpret it in their own way. And they've tried, especially the Bhagavad Gita. And nobody became a devotee from those kind of comments that they made. But when Srila Prabhupada, through the mercy of the Lord, wrote Bhagavad Gita, translating and giving his realizations, comments, and realizations from the Parampara, devotees were made from that Bhagavad Gita. And today, still, devotees are, people are turning to Krishna and becoming devotees because of the Bhagavad Gita. So the Vedas was revealed by Krishna to Brahma. Bhagavad Gita was also revealed The same Krishna. It says he related it to the sun god, Vivashwan, the sun god. And the sun god related it to Manu, and Manu related it to Ishwaku. Maharaj Ishwaku at the time was in fact the king for this planet. So the supreme science was distributed in that way. And actually, Prabhupada quotes the fourth chapter, Transcendental Knowledge, that this is how Bhagavad Gita came up. So in the first one, text one, the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna is saying, I instructed this imperishable science of yoga to the sun god Vivashwan. And then Vivashwan instructed it to Manu, the father of mankind, and then Manu instructed it to Ishwaku. So this supreme science was received in the chain of disciplic succession in this way. And all the Rajarishis followed it. So this is how the Vedas is understood. That's why it's called Shruti. It's said and you hear. So from the ear. We these days in Kali Yuga don't have the best of senses. Even if we hear something, we tend to forget after a while. So using other ways like writing and recording and those instruments make it possible for us to hear over and over and over and over, and some of it would stay in that way. So Arjuna was being told by Krishna before the battle of Kurukshetra started that he revealed Bhagavad Gita, and he told him that he gave this in a succession like that. The sun god, then all the way up to Ishwaku. And he said that he's saying it again. So in chapter 4 of Bhagavad Gita, text 3, it says, the same ancient science of the relationship with the Supreme, which Bhagavad Gita teaches. Krishna tells Arjuna, today I'm telling you, because you are my devotee, as well as my friend, and therefore you can understand the transcendental mystery of this science. A devoted friend of the Supreme Personality of Godhead can understand this. People who are not devoted, they can read the Bhagavad Gita, but it won't make sense to them. People who don't have their love for Krishna, or even practicing how to love Krishna, they don't have that. They don't do that. Bhagavad Gita won't make sense to them. The same words. And it will never make sense to them. So Arjuna did ask a question, again, he couldn't remember those times when the Bhagavad Gita was instructed. He says, you told the sun god? That has to be hundreds of millions of years ago. Hundreds of millions of years ago. But we are here now. So how could you have? And of course, this inspired this question. It would be a typical question for somebody who doesn't understand deeply the science of the soul. But Krishna inspired it in Arjuna's heart to ask that kind of question so that Krishna can explain that as souls, we never die. And in so many situations, Krishna says, I've been with you. Lifetimes, many lifetimes before. And then he told Arjuna, I can remember them, but you can't. So that was the answer to the question. Arjuna cannot remember, as we also can't remember our previous lives, unless we go to somebody that is trained in the school for Brigu, and Brigu's demigod, he lives a good 4,300,000,000 years. His lifetime is that long. It's like a day, 12 hours of Lord Brahma. But he has that kind of information that if people want to learn, you can learn. and get to know how to talk about people's previous lives that way. So that's there. But on our own, it's near impossible to know what happened in our previous lives. So our June was being put in that situation so that Krishna could explain. But the important thing is Bhagavad Gita is being spoken to Arjun because Arjun is a devotee of the Lord. He's a friend of the Lord, but at that time, Arjun himself said, I don't want to be in a friendly type relationship. I want to be in a spiritual master disciple type relationship with you so that you can instruct me on what to do. Because at that time, he was quite confused. Again, thinking materially about the Kauravas, the Kurus, being relatives, and they are on the other side. And this, when the war started or starts, it means that they can kill him and he can kill them, but they're relatives. So he was obviously confused, and the Lord helped him. So the version, the Vedas is always eternal. And so what we take from the Vedas is also very helpful to us. And speaking about that, since we are trying to be devotees, Lord Chaitanya defines who a devotee is. So that definition is one that if we bear in mind, then we'll do some things correctly and some things that are incorrect we'll avoid. The definition of a devotee of Krishna. Asat Sangha Tyaga Vaishnav Acha. Sri Sangi Eka Sadhu Krishna Bhakta Hara. A Vaishnav should always avoid the association of ordinary people. This sounds like, oh, we don't want to be around some people. But who are ordinary people? Lord Chaitanya means non-Vaishnavas, those who are not devoted to serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Live a mundane life. Those people who only have mundane things to tell us and gossip to tell us. So they don't help our growth in spiritual life. So we avoid the association of them. Some of us work and we are around such people. Now, we go to give our association and do what is necessary for the employment part. But when we leave, we should be focused on Krishna consciousness. I remember I had a job that was about in travel to that place, was in a college, an hour and 5 minutes one way. I was living in Girinagri at the time. And I was encouraged by the head of the department to move and come to that town where the college was. But I had service to do at Girinagri, so I had to respectfully decline that. Besides, it's my life. If I want to live someplace and come, he can't really change it. But it was a suggestion on his part. He thought, you'll be too tired and driving. And yeah, I did in fact get tired. But the wonderful thing about it is just to leave that environment and then come to a sattvic environment in Girinagri. Every time I pulled up, the energy immediately changes from passion and ignorance to goodness, and even higher than that, transcendence. The first thing, pull in, you see the cows, and immediately the atmosphere changes to a wonderful spiritual atmosphere. So it makes a big difference. That was a suggestion by somebody who thought he was helping me. But that's the category of an ordinary person. Sees things the way they see. But I want to learn to be a better devotee. And I'm very much attached to service. So I wasn't about to move to there. So Srila Prabhupada explains, common people are very much materially attached, especially to the mode of passion. And the highest part of mode of passion is the relationship, lusty relationship between men and women. So Vaishnavas should also avoid the company of those who are not devotees of Lord Krishna. So when it comes to our free time to do things, we should be doing them with devotees. Hmm? We should also avoid those who are materialistic. The more people think about material gains, the more likely, if we associate with them, that we'll be like that. And the downside of that is that when we get ready to leave the body and we're thinking of material things, then it's likely that we're going to take another body and come and continue material things. When we had a wonderful opportunity to go back to the one planet in the spiritual world, the Father's planet, where the relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead is more variegated than anywhere else. Krishna Loka, Goloka Vrindavan. It is not always made available. Only one day. There are 1,000 Divya Yugas. Satya Yuga, Trita Yuga, Dwapara Yuga, and Kali Yuga. Together it's called the Divya Yuga. And in the 12 hours of Lord Brahma, there's 1,000 of those. And only one out of that period of time, when the Lord comes, Lord Chaitanya comes, Krishna comes in the Dwapara Yuga, Lord Chaitanya comes in the Kali Yuga. One gets a chance to go to Goloka Vrindavan. And this is the time now. So to live life in such a way that we sabotage our own opportunity to go back to Godhead, that in simple language doesn't make much sense at all. Why would anyone want to sabotage their own self? So these are some of the things that would get us in a situation that is bad. Therefore, we should avoid it. They are materialistic. People are attached to the modes of material nature, especially passion. Especially passion. This country is ruled by passion. Quite frankly, this country is ruled by greed. By greed. Everything is going up in prices for only one reason, greed. And anyone's greed that causes them to raise the prices, then it raises the price of everything else because, well, I have to catch up with them. It's cost more money now to do this. Therefore, I'll sell mine more. Whatever I have to give goods or services, I'll go up in the price. Has anybody thought that what will happen in the future, maybe the near future, when prices going up and up and up and up and up, it's going to get to a point where people's income will not be able to deal with the expenses. Now the quality of life has to go down. So this is no place to be. As Sri Prabhupada says, the material world is no place for a gentleman. So we're here for a little while, and we should be prepared to go home. It is, we can't say it enough, it is a very, very opportune time because when a person takes Krishna consciousness seriously and Krishna gives the mercy through the help of Guru, that person is going to Goloka Vrindavan. Not any of the material, the spiritual planets, which themselves are anxiety-free. And Brihad Bhagavatamita describes this, that so much wealth is there for every single person or entity in the spiritual world. It is described in Brihad Bhagavatamita that the wealth that devotees of the Lord in the spiritual world have is mind-blowing. I said it's mind-blowing, but let me describe it exactly what it says. It says that the wealth there is for a single entity is greater than the wealth of a universe. That much wealth. That much wealth. Every single person in the spiritual world has way more wealth than Lord Brahma. Way more. But then Bhagavatamita also describes in the commentary part that the devotees don't really care about it. They give their hearts to the Lord, but the Lord makes so much available. But then we begin to think, those who are after wealth here, what's the need for it? What's the need? when so much is available in the spiritual world? So much, much more is available in the spiritual world. Why would we want to stay here? How do we go to the spiritual world? Lord Chaitanya has made it so simple. Serve the Lord, serve the devotees, and chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. There is no anxiety in the spiritual world. There is that much wealth. But the devotees don't even care. All they do is they want to satisfy the Lord. That's more important. And the Lord gives them so much. So actually, in many ways, if you think about a person or an entity in the spiritual world having more wealth than the wealth of the universe, we are poor. That's the material world is given. Whatever we think we have, we are in the poverty category. Hmm? Some people are poor and some people are poorer. That's who we are. We have to go home. Hmm? Then there's no anxiety, and everything that we need is made available for us. The Lord is very, very kind, and the Lord is extremely giving. We are the ones that are trying to stay here. So Lord Chaitanya defines that there are two kinds of materialists. Either one, we shouldn't be attached to them. One is attached to women and sense gratification, and the other person just doesn't believe in God. They're just non-devotee. Either way, whichever kind, we stay away from them. We can be nice in their presence, but we try to help them by elevating their consciousness if they are open to it. We can't force Krishna consciousness down anyone's throat. We can always give prasadam though, because people like food. So if you give prasadam, especially that is consistent with the culture of that person, they'll take it. They'll take it. And you have helped them by giving them that. That's always there. If they won't hear about the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they can take Krishna prasadam. So, positive side is associate with Mahatmas, those who know and practice, very, very committed devotees. And on the negative side, we should avoid non-devotees and people in the mode of passion, women hunters especially. So, we have been told there are 4 regulative principles. And those are the ones that we have to obey so that we can be in the proper or consistent, can live our lives consistent with the pillars of religion. Mercy, truthfulness, austerity, and cleanliness. The 4 things that we're told to stay away from, they destroy these pillars of religion, of Sanatan Dharma, that is. So when it comes to mercy, if we eat meat eating destroys mercy. Being truthful, gambling destroys truthfulness. Being austere, and austerity is important because it helps us to be detached from this material world. Intoxication destroys austerity. And for cleanliness, illicit sex destroys cleanliness. That's why we've been told no meat eating, and that includes fish and eggs, no gambling, no intoxication, and no illicit sex. When a person who is serious about wanting to go back home, you have to vow this, and then vow to take the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, chanting a minimum of 16 rounds. The mercy of Srila Prabhupada is, without it, it would be 64 rounds. But by the mercy of the spiritual master, we have a minimum of 16. It does not mean that we can't chant more than 16. You can chant all the way up to 64 rounds if you want, or more than that. Jagai and Madai, when they got purified later, they chanted 128 rounds. And the Namacharya, Srila Haridas Thakur, he chanted 192 rounds. And we are chanting a minimum of 16. So the important word is minimum. 16. We can chant 16 rounds in the morning and chant some more rounds before we go to bed. Whatever we do extra, the Lord gives us more mercy. And the love will increase, and then we'll get a chance to go back to Godhead. So the Vedas is the truth. It stays the truth. And those things that we need to avoid, we should make sure we avoid. We just talked about it, because those destroy mercy, destroy truthfulness, destroys austerity, and destroys cleanliness. Meat eating, gambling, intoxication, illicit sex. So it cleans up our lives and brings us to the human platform. And then at chanting, we have a chance to go back to Godhead. It's just on us. If we don't do it, then we are self-saboteurs. Shira Prabhupada Ki Jai. Thank you for listening. Allow me to do the service. And now this is the time. If you want to unmute yourself, please do. And share in the conversation. Hare Krishna. Krishna Kata.
Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisance, Soga Shishir Prabhupada.
Jai, glory to Prabhupada.
I wanted to thank for this this class, and especially one of the comments that you made initially in the initial part of the class is the culture of respect. When you said, it reminded me of Nrsimha Kavacha Prabhu. I was listening to a class by him, I think 3 weeks ago, and where Nrsimha Kavacha Prabhu, he's the deity minister for ISKCON worldwide.
Yeah.
He's the minister of deity worship. And he was telling us that the culture of respect is very much directly related to our service attitude. Very much related. In fact, he said that if we do our service so nicely, we cook so nicely, we prepare so nicely, we do all the service nicely, but we don't respect devotees, then all the service that we have done is like null and void. He said that means whatever service we did is like back to zero. It's just like we have emptied our what's the word he used? Our bank account, So he was saying that service should improve. What's the word he used? Develop. I think that's the word he used. Basic human qualities. I like how he said it. He was saying that devotional service should help us to develop our basic human qualities. And one of it, he said, is the culture of respect. That is very important, that we really check ourselves, about the culture of respect, because we can do great service, great deity worship, show on time, dress the deities beautifully, cook the best bog offering or the feast or whatever. But if we do not respect, then everything that we've done is like zero. So, and in fact, he even tied it to the 6 loving exchanges by Srila Rupa Goswami. So he was tying the culture of respect to the 6 loving exchanges of Srila Rupa Goswami. So I thought that was a very powerful point of how he connected all the dots, of service attitude to culture of respect, to Vaishnav etiquette, to the 6 loving exchanges, all to the point of culture of respect. So I just wanted to share that. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much for bringing up that point. Yes, the way Shukadeva Goswami started addressing Maharaj Pariksit so respectfully. And he's the spiritual master, and still addressed Maharaj Pariksit very, very, very respectfully. Yes, respect is extremely important in our spiritual life. Without it, we can't progress very much. We really can't progress very much. You think about it, but basically it boils down to this. Our minds have to be trained. Our minds have to be checked from doing negative things. That's the important thing. And then respect will come automatically. So yes, respect is very, very important. Those in the spiritual world love each other and respect each other. And so that's the lifestyle there. If we're going to be disrespectful, we cannot fit into the lifestyle of those in the Vaikuntha planets, especially Goloka Vrindavan, that we've been given a chance to go. We can't fit in there. And going back to Godhead is by invitation. When the Lord is satisfied, the spiritual master pleads our case for us, then we'll be allowed back. That's how it works. It's not common when mom said, I've done this, therefore, I'm qualified. No, there's no qualification. It's all by mercy. And so if we're going to be disrespectful by how we're leading our life now, and the transcendental system or the agents of the Lord, they see what's going on. The demigods see what's going on. And if we're disrespectful, they know that we will be disrespectful in the spiritual realm. And disrespect is not there. We're not going to be given a chance to change the way we are in the spiritual world. We have to be prepared by living life here like that so that we'll be accepted there. Therefore, a disrespectful person is an aparadi, offensive person is automatically disallowed from going back. So needless to say, we have to be very careful how we speak to each other, how we relate to each other. Hare Krishna. Any other comments? If not, they would like to thank you for coming on today to hear. Hearing helps everybody. So have a nice, wonderful day. The weekend's up. Wonderful Krishna conscious weekend. Jai. Vanchakapatarubhishya kripa sindhibhyevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Shira Prabhupada ki jai. Vaishnav Thakur ki jai. Gaura Pramanande Hari Hari Go.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Priti.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank you.